back to the Making It podcast. Today I'm joined by a very special guest. This is Kyan, Mitchell-Whyte. I met Kyan when we were trying to work it out before. We were about maybe 9 years old, potentially eight, potentially 10. Kyan moved to Nottingham, and the teachers chose me to introduce him to the school and to the environment. And so it's a blessing to have you here now, brother.
Thank you.
We're going to dive into what Kyan's up to now, what his life perspectives are, his goals, his visions. But Kyan, welcome to the Making It podcast. It's a pleasure to have you. Would you like to introduce yourself, sort of like your background and like your journey to now?
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for having me. It's been very good so far. So I moved to Nottingham. I think you said what, about 9, 10?
Yeah,
And I think that's where me and you met when we went to school. And to be fair, Daniel, you was the first person I got introduced to, wasn't
me
you?
and Riley, yeah.
Yeah, you first two people I met when I came to Nottingham. And I think from there we kind of went to school together. Then I went through secondary school. I did my GCSEs, did my A levels. Then I think I went to university in Sheffield. You ended up going to
I was in
Newcastle.
Newcastle, yeah.
I left university after 1 year, decided that wasn't for me, and then that's when I decided to get into property. And I think from there, that's when I started social media, and I think that's where like my ambitions and that's where I realized what my goals were and I wanted to get into.
Yeah, so the property thing is what's interested me because that's what you've been posting about quite a bit on social media. It's kind of like to me it was kind of like the first thing I saw as a friend of yours as like a one of your first big steps in like doing something for yourself. And would you like to describe kind of like what brought you into the idea of doing property and that experience of like getting your first one, doing it up with like your network and like selling it on?
Yeah, first things first, I'd just like to say the property ambition really started from I think when I was in about year 9. It's a business between me and my friend Harrison, and I think from year 9 we had a teacher called Mr. Han. He always spoke about property and things like that. So me and Harrison had the idea there. I just don't think we knew how we was gonna get to it. And I think from there, it kind of just, I don't know. I don't want to say like I feel like life was always gonna go that way, but I think I don't know. You make the right things out of the situations, and I think from then it's transpired. I think that's the kind of mindset I've always been in. So as soon as the opportunity came, that's where I kind of took it, if that makes sense with him.
So what was that opportunity that came and the one that you grabbed and took?
I think the opportunity was when I was at uni and I just didn't like it. Like,
How come?
do you know what it is? I think it's more I'm paying to learn, but I just don't feel like I'm learning anything that special. Like everything I was learning, I just felt like I could learn in a book,
It didn't
and
feel worth it
yeah,
for
it
you.
didn't feel worth
Yeah.
it. So I went and I felt like I learned more in jobs and just like naturally talking to people. And then I think I met someone who was talking about houses in Mansfield. And he told me to have a look in the area, and I had a look, and I seen the property, and I seen it was like on auction for like 60,000. And if you think about it, you've only got to really put like a deposit down of like 10%, or maybe 20%. So it's not, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much to be split with two people. So I think that was the opportunity.
And so describe that process of then making the jump, getting that property, doing it up and then selling it on.
The process, do you know what it was? Do you remember at the start when I first got it and I was on social media? I think I was cocky, Like I think I was so arrogant.
How come? Yeah, describe that.
I was like, yeah, this is easy because in your head you just think like, oh, okay, all I got to do is buy property. Yeah, this is nice. Let's do it all, and then let's go from there. And you just think I don't know, like, oh, I will get a plumber and we'll get an electrician, and it's easy. But like, I don't think you realize that like the deal that you made's done the first second you buy the property. If you buy property for too much, it doesn't matter what you're doing in between. So I think that's something we didn't take into consideration, even though the house was cheap. But that's why I think I was just really cocky at the start. I was just like, yeah, the house is cheap. There's no way it's not gonna get done. Does that make sense?
Do you feel like you've then grown as a person through that experience and realizing that now you look back on it?
Yeah, no, it's definitely humbling because I feel like if I didn't get humbled at that, I still would have been like very arrogant. Like everything's easy. Like I understand like things take time and there's a process to it. And whenever my time will come,
So
everything will
from when you first got that property, how long did it then take to then sell it?
I think we got the property in May. I think there was a bit of like I don't want to say disagreement, but a bit of, like, yeah, I would say disagreement in what process you should take. Because obviously, when you start something with someone, it's important that your cultures match. So, like, even when you know, when you started the podcast with Jamie, like, you two have the same goal. of
Yeah,
where you and the podcast are going.
yeah.
Yeah, and to me, that's important, isn't it? So me and the person I started business with, we didn't have the same,
You
like,
weren't aligned.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it really started to mess with like the trajectory of the project that we was doing. So it kind of, let's say the house would kind of go maybe September around then, but then that's when it went up for sale. But there was a few things in the house that wasn't done. And because of that disagreements and like my own personal issues in my life, it just took a bit longer. So then the house was gonna get rented and then it was gonna get refinanced. You went down that process. It didn't work. So the house only really just ended up really being sold maybe like at the start of this year. So it's, I don't know. It's not like my greatest achievement, I'd say.
yeah. But what's your kind of like standpoint now from after doing that experience? Where do you kind of see yourself going from this very moment onwards in terms of your current process in property?
Where do I see myself going forward?
Like right now, what's the current process right now of you in property? Are you still doing it? Have you got a goal in terms of property right now? Like what's happening in the property world with Kyan right now?
I think my main goal in the property is to kind of just show people and to educate people about how easy it is in a way. I know I said it's difficult, but I just want to just educate right now and try and just build up my name in the property world to try and eventually one day do like a bigger project because I realized it's not about how many deals I do, it's the quality of the deal that I do. So if I can build up my name and show why people should trust me and why I can go on like that, I think that's my goal to be able to then one day do a big project and have a massive network of people that I've made to be able to then come and say, oh, I'm doing this, you can trust me, I know what I'm talking about, and then be able to go from there. So it's not that I'm stepping back from property, it's just I want to focus on trying to do something bigger and maybe making a bit more income monthly because when you do property, it holds up your money for a long time. Like if you put money into something, you're not getting it back for like 6 months.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
yeah.
It's a long time to just be sat and you've got to pay interest on it monthly, but the council tax, the water bill, the electrics. Yeah, that's easy adding up to like a grand's worth of just bills a month. Obviously, it's split between two people, but still, it's a lot.
So you mentioned something about a bigger project. Like, do you actually have an idea of like what that is, or do you just have a drive for something bigger? You just don't quite know what that is yet.
No, I've definitely got an idea of where I want to go with my property. I think the main goal is like I'd love to get into like construction and like building like places for people to live in that type of area because I think it's a very saturated market, but I think everyone's doing it quite similar. Like, you know, when you go to like the United States, I think they all look
Yeah, yeah.
quite like similar, if you get what I mean. So I think that's my end goal, but I just understand there's a lot of like small steps I have to take in process of getting there. So like, even if I asked you like, what's your end goal with the podcast, you'd say,
I'd say it's quite hard actually sometimes to put a label on an end goal, but for me, I'd say making an impact on as many people as possible is probably our end goal. Is like just to build the listener base to a point where even more people are listening to something which can make an impact on their journeys.
but then do you not think there's so many? Do you get what I'm saying about the small steps that I think you need to like? How many different small steps you
Oh,
can
there's
do?
loads, absolutely
You got
loads until you
so
get there. Yeah.
exactly. I think that's the exact same for me when I see it in property. But as I was saying, I think as well, it's also about me trying to prove to people I think I can do more than property. Like I want to show I can do more. Like I'd love to start like charities, love to start like mentoring and things like that because I think that like if you share your knowledge, I think everyone can actually get better.
So you would say you share the same passion as wanting to make an impact on other people?
Yeah, 100% because I feel like I don't know. I feel like people like remember. I know it sounds quite selfish, but I feel like people remember you for being a good person, not just like I'm not just trying to be rich. Like I want to be a good person.
Yeah.
I want people to, do you know, like even after I'm dead, to be able to, even if one person can say, like, ah, he helped me to get here, and so on and so forth. Because I don't know, I think a lot of people have helped me, and I'm sure a lot of people probably helped you as well.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. I think that's important because I always remember the quote from, I believe it's Theodore Roosevelt, if I've pronounced that right, but it's, people don't remember what you did, they remember how you made them feel. And I think it's so important. Um, I was just thinking, we met when we were very young. We don't know quite as the exact age, but we believe it was 9. What would you say to that young 9-year-old Kyan now? If you could give him some advice, what would you say to him?
Um, I just tell him to keep on being him because do you know like along the way you fall out with a lot of people don't like you, a lot of people have different opinions. But I feel like growing up, Like I wasn't really someone that cared. Like I was always quite arrogant and always quite like don't mention in your face like I don't know. I was quite cocky
Was that a
and
good or a bad thing?
probably a bad thing,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's essential for who I am now. And I'd say I was definitely quite rude as well. So yeah, I'd just say just carry on going the way I was going. Just keep on being me.
So you say there's been a couple moments where you say you've looked back on some periods of when you were younger. You mentioned you felt like you're a bit rude, a bit arrogant, maybe a bit cocky. Obviously, that's very natural to be as a young person growing up. Like
Yeah.
that's a normal thing. A lot of the time, I know I've had times where I've been very cocky, and I reflect and realize I'm a better person for realizing that now. Going through your sort of like childhood, I guess from that 9-year-old Kyan to now, what have been the main things you've kind of reflected on that journey that kind of built you to now? So, for example, in terms of your character, so you say you kind of realized that you were being quite cocky. I guess I'm kind of asking, where has that come from? And like, how have you kind of developed from realizing that? And like, who do you think you are now because of that? Let's dive a bit deeper into that.
I think it comes from like, do you know, just life experiences that you go through at the time, like whether it's relationships or personal life circumstances, or even just like just needing to get on with life because you need money. So like, there's so many things that I think have happened along the way. Like, I think when I got to an age where I lost one of my parents when I was like 14, 15, and I think that just made me realize like life is short. Like, I don't really have time to be like wasting like being rude to people. Do you know, just like negative energy.
Mm.
Like I'd rather just be positive and just get on with my life and just go from there. So when I look back, I don't know. I feel like you waste a lot of energy just being like a dickhead to people when it's not necessary. You can just get on with your life and just do you.
So you feel like that was a really powerful experience in terms of shifting your momentum as a person, in terms of that almost like your greater self of wanting to be a good person in this world, wanting to make like a good impact and realizing that you only have like a short period of time to actually be able to do that and you want to make the most of being a good human being.
Yeah, I'd say not straight away, but I'd say like there's been a couple other things, but like I don't know, maybe like failed relationships or things like that that kind of just like teach you like to be a better person. If you get what I'm saying, like I don't, if you do someone wrong or you do a bad thing to someone and that person doesn't want to talk to you anymore, then it kind of makes you realize that okay, this isn't right. Especially if that person's a good person as well, and it makes you realize that you have to change.
So how do you feel like that experience built you as a person? You can dive into it as much as you want in terms of losing a parent. How do you feel like that built you? Because it can't be an easy thing to go through. And I guess for anyone going through that now, what would your advice be to them?
My advice would just be just keep on going. Like it's definitely not a nice thing, but like I don't really, I don't really dwell on it too much. I just think you just need to make the most of what you've got. And if anything, you should use whatever pain that you've got to just motivate you. Like I can't sit here and say like I've dealt with it because I haven't. All I can say is just that I just keep on going. I think one day I'll probably break, but I don't think that day is no. So like right now, I just really just want to keep on going for as long as I can and make the most. That I don't think I'm the perfect role model for anyone because I haven't figured out how to cope yet. But I think that the most important thing is that you just keep on going and whatever it is, because at least I could sit and I can say to myself like I'm doing okay, I'm doing all right. And that's it. I don't think I'm a perfect role model for anyone.
Yeah, and you motivate me by hearing you talk about that, and I'm grateful that you can express that, and I am sorry to hear that you had to go through that experience. But I'm also glad to hear that you've been aware of yourself through that experience, and you can sit here now and express that and kind of be open with yourself and others. And I think that's you've got to pat yourself on the back for that because as much as you're saying you're not coping with it, I think in a way you're coping with it in a good way by expressing by the way you just expressed just then. And I think you're doing yourself proud, brother. And I think from a standpoint of when I've seen, because Kyan's been doing stuff on social media, we say we've not seen each other in 2 years, but it feels like we've seen each other like
Every day.
every day through social media. But through seeing you doing what you're doing now, bro, it's nice to see. It's good to see someone who we were saying before this, I feel a connection to because of being one of the first people you met in Nottingham. it's I feel like you're making yourself proud. And yes, you're right in saying not every not every path you go down, not every step you make is going to be the most perfect. But I think the fact you're still making those steps and going down that path and trying is very, very incredible, bro. So
Exactly
keep
that.
doing what you're doing, man. 100%. Be proud of yourself, bro.
No, thank you. But I just think more and more people should just, who are in my position, should just, as I said, I think people turn away to like drugs and addiction and things like that. Where if you can find something that motivates you and something that will keep you busy, I think that's how I cope. So like even with property, when you're doing the property up itself, I still think it keeps you very busy, or even if you like running the numbers for property or anything like that. So I think that's essential. I don't know how what you used to cope, but for me, that's what I did.
Yeah, it's a personal journey, and like in that kind of topic of motivation, I guess what does motivate you? Why am I getting out of bed to do this with my day? Why am I here? What's my life purpose? Like, what is your kind of reason why like you're motivated that does keep you going?
At the moment, if I'm being honest with you, I think what right now, this second,
Right now, yeah. What's your reason why right now?
right now is because I haven't told you. I was gonna say it after the podcast, but I'll just tell you now. So what's keeping me going right now is I've got a child on the way. So right now, I think that's what's keeping me going. I haven't really like told anyone. I haven't really I haven't put it on nothing. So you can put this in. I'm not bothered.
Yeah.
But I think that's what's keeping me going right now. And I think also just that I haven't worked this hard to just fail. Like even if you think about the time when me and you met, like even remember all the lessons we did in primary schools, all them things I've done in my life, like it just be a complete waste. So I think every day when I wake up, I just think I haven't come this far just to like just sit down and waste my life away. So that's the main thing. I always just look back, but I don't know that's the right thing because you're a person with a positive outlook. Do you think it's better to look forward or backwards?
I think looking backwards can be a very dangerous game because I think there's a lot of things in our past people say no regrets, but I think there are things in the past that if we were to go back, we would probably do a little bit differently. I think people can't argue that. However, I think experiences do shape us, and those experiences we go through in our past have made us the people we are now. And there is an area of acceptance where we you can't. I don't personally feel like we can, and maybe I've not experienced anything deep enough to be able to be in a position to say this, but with my own experience, I find sometimes it's quite difficult to just brush things under the carpet. Sometimes things have to be accepted. We have to go through some pain to kind of get through something so we can accept it and kind of it helps you to move on. Sometimes I feel like you can't move on from things because they're that heavy, they'll always sit with you, but it's learning to live with these things and like coexist with them. And I guess life I'm kind of listening to what you're saying, and I'm thinking in a way, it's almost like you've been in a boxing match of life at times, and it's been punching you left and right, a couple uppercuts, and you took quite a big deep hit, but you kept on going, you got yourself up, and I think those things in your past that have hit you, it's important to kind of understand maybe you'll never maybe know why they've happened, but understand that it's an experience that has shaped you, and it's good to hear that you're motivated to keep learning about yourself. And I
Yeah.
guess in terms of learning and being a curious person, do you feel like you are curious? You feel like you're always open to learning? I've seen on your TikTok you've been reading a lot of books. Like
Yeah.
in terms of your learning processes, do you feel like you're quite an eager learner?
Yeah, 100%. I think learning's like the most important thing you can do. Like even if I can just sit down with you, because you're studying psychology, or even like the sports psychology thing, I'd love to just even like with you just sit down and just learn what new things you've learned while being at university. Because I think that's the only way you like grow as a person and like you have like a broad spectrum. Even just like with networking with people. Imagine if I had a conversation with you about sports psychology, and then from the information I get from the conversation with you, I could then go meet someone else, have that conversation with them, which could then lead on to other things that could further me in life. So I feel like the curiosity is like the most important like feature I have, and I think it should be the same for everyone. Because even with you, without it, you wouldn't have started the podcast. You wouldn't. You maybe would have gone to university, but you wouldn't have started looking at the sports psychology more, and that's like shaped the direction that you and are following. So I think that the curiosity, so I think it's so important, so important.
you mentioned key features about yourself. Are there any other key features you kind of put into that like recipe of yourself?
I,
Building
th-
on curiosity.
I think the curiosity is important. I think you just need to have like I think I've said it so many times. You just need to have like a code of conduct. Like I understand that not everyone comes from like the same culture or the same background, so I understand that everyone's will be slightly different. But I feel like if you can look back at yourself and think, you know what, like I've been a good person, you've had like a code of conduct you've stuck to your whole life. I feel like that's very important. As long as you're okay within yourself, then you should be fine. So I feel like that's why a lot of people aren't happy because like they don't look after themselves. They go out drinking, they ruin their bodies, and they don't like the person they end up becoming. And then that's when people start hating on other people and things like that. So I think the main thing in your life is just having a code of conduct. And even if that code of conduct is being disciplined and going gym, and then you can have like a list of things. Does
So
that make
what?
sense?
So what would you? How would you describe your code of conduct? What is that for you?
I think the most important things is just to be disciplined, to be honest, and just like be healthy. And I think those three things you should be fine. Like I'm not saying you have to be nice to everyone because I think there's a time and a place for everything. But I think those are the three things that I think if you do those three things, you should thrive at whatever it is you want to do.
So what does being healthy look like for you? How do you look after yourself in terms of a health sense?
I think being healthy is very it can have like a very wide range. Like I just try and make sure I go to the gym, I drink my water, and I have my fruit and veg, and I don't really drink alcohol, and I don't do drugs. So I don't understand everyone's different, but that's my version of health. But obviously, like your version of health could be very different to mine. What would you say your version of health is?
I would say my version of health in terms of like a physical sense is, yeah, eating, like having my 5 a day, eating good food, drinking a lot of water, exercising, doing cardio, doing a bit of like weightlifting. But in terms of like, also, I think your mind is such a big thing in terms of your health as well, like having a good outlook, having a motivation. Um,
Do you think having a good outlook is always the best way forward in life?
to be honest, I don't see how. I don't really. To be honest, the first thing that came to my head when you said that was I don't actually know any other way. Like how what I guess what would not a good outlook look like? I feel like how I think sometimes I find it difficult because I don't think I've been through, and I don't want to say I've not been through like anything crazy, but
Yeah.
like something I've always struggled with growing up is like when I've felt maybe upset or I've not been in the best spirits.
Mm.
I've always worried about the fact that maybe like, people are going through it worse than I
You
am.
shouldn't downplay your own emotions by comparing to other people because like if it's your life, that's what's going on. You still feel the same way. It doesn't matter if someone's been punched in the face down the road. Like you still feel. I don't know. That's all. But you shouldn't downplay yourself.
Yeah, and I completely agree, and that's what people say to me, and I that's something I've come to learn, something I've come to accept, and I appreciate you saying that because what you've just said is exactly what I've been told and what I've been taken on board, and I do think having a positive outlook, I wouldn't want to have it any other way because my personal opinion is going through anything in life, having a positive outlook, and you're not always going to be able to be positive all the time. That's not you can't be perfect, but having at least trying to be positive, at least trying to push through things like you say, keep going is I think it's a very important factor. How about yourself?
I feel that I feel that's a very thin line though because keeping positive and keeping going. I feel like they're very. I don't know. Would you say they're the same thing?
I know the direction you're coming from because I feel like sometimes you're not going to be positive, but you're going to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's probably more the essence of being disciplined. And even when you're not feeling at your best, you're still going. So I do understand that. I think there's an area of keeping positive where I feel like maybe sometimes people's perspective could be they always feel like they need to be happy, smiley, positive all the time. But that's just not realistic. And it's in those moments where you're not necessarily feeling 100% where you keep going and push yourself through. But I think in those moments where you can have a positive outlook. So say, for example, something could happen to you where I don't know, you wake up and your day started quite bad because I don't know, you've dropped a carton of milk all over the floor.
Yeah.
Like that could either ruin your whole day
That's a
or
day.
it could either ruin your whole day or like you could go, okay, this has happened, I'm going to clean it up, and like that's just a bump in my road today. And I
Right.
think that's for me, that's what a positive outlook is. It's more the small things in your day to day. But I completely understand what you're saying by like keeping going, even in those moments where you're not feeling like 100% positive.
I agree with you, I feel like those two things are true. Like, I feel like if you can have a balance of what you're saying, have a balance of what I'm saying, you'll have like a perfect like trajectory because I think what you're saying is very important. Because even if, let's say, in property, you're getting into property now, imagine you're doing a property and you've organized everything, and the plumber's meant to be coming today to fit in the new boiler, and then after the plumber's coming, you've got the electrician and everything's going. And if someone cancels on everything, it's very easily to just have a negative outlook and think like, oh, it's messed up, it's over, it's done. Whereas you're saying have a positive outlook on life, you can then like adapt to the situation and fix it. So that's something I completely agree with you, like 100%.
Yeah. I've noticed you're quite in tune with like how you feel and like your emotions with going through certain experiences, and it's quite nice to see because I feel like we have gone through a bit of a period where there's been some things online with like people kind of like disregarding emotions, and I guess what's your relationship with your emotions? And like I personally feel like sometimes being a male, and I'm not saying that females don't experience it too, but being a male, there is that stereotype, and we see it with a lot of people where they'll kind of disregard their emotions because they need to be a man, so to speak. I guess what's your relationship with your emotions, and kind of like what's your opinion on that whole idea of like being a man and experiencing your emotions?
I think it's very dependent on the person because I feel like there's not one right answer because I feel like different people are motivated and work better by different things. Like imagine imagine if you was like running a football team and you had 11 players and they were all crying. You can't say the same thing to all of them to sort them all out. But I just think my general opinion on men's mental health is just that like there needs to be more talking
Yeah,
amongst that men like
yeah.
together like even if it doesn't have to be a thing of oh let's talk about our feelings but like do you know that people just meet because I feel like the problem is people are just lonely and I feel like if everyone got outside and all played football together and people started talking and not mocking people I think that would collectively bring everyone together. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, 100%, because being lonely is actually one of the biggest factors that causes like depression and people not feeling at their best. Like that's actually a genuine fact. Like I've seen that before. Um, what's your relationship with being lonely? Do you ever experience that?
No.
Why is that? Why don't you feel like you experience that?
I think because I said to you before, I've always kept myself very busy. And like even when me and you was talking before and you was like, oh, I haven't seen you in 2 years. It doesn't I don't know, it doesn't feel like that. Like
Yeah.
like as I said, we've always been doing stuff and you've been doing stuff. And I feel like in the midst of that I've naturally just met people. Like how we was talking about naturally OC before. And even like just meeting him and people like that and there's always just things going on and that just comes from just getting out and just being friendly with people, and I think that's why I haven't really been lonely because it's networking.
So in terms of networking and like meeting people, who's been like a in your life who's made a big impact on you on a let's go in your life who's made a big impact on you on a personal level, and then who's made a big impact on you in like an aspirational like career sort of level.
I'd say on the career level of things, I would say it's probably say my uncle. I've got an uncle that lives in Thailand, and he is just living like free with the time, and I think it was him who was kind of just hound down on me like. You need to be able to control your time. And I think it comes from like other members of my family. Like I even remember being younger and my uncle was taking me wing stopping like Hackney in London and he's telling me, oh, like the most important thing you need is you need to have free time, free time, free time, free time. So I think that's always been my aspiration, just to have free time. And I feel like if you have free time, like your ambitions don't mean like you can do what you want. Like I'm trying to think. Do you know like how KSI has got free time? I see that guy doing everything. That man does what he wants. Do you understand? And that's what I want to be able to do. I just want to be able to do what I want. So I think that's the most important thing. But then I'd say on a personal level, I know it sounds cringe, but I just say my mom, like
That's
my
not cringe,
mom.
bro. That's a big thing.
No, my mom's the one in it. Like she does everything, like through paying, through everything. Like my mom's, well, technically she's disabled, but she does everything. Like my whole life, she's done everything, and like push through everything. Doesn't really show, doesn't complain. Like life's dealt us some rubbish cards, and she doesn't complain. Doesn't so I don't feel like I have a right to complain, and I feel like that's just, don't know, inspired me on a personal level to just always just keep going.
No, that's really special, man. I feel like that's a really good way to kind of end things. Before we do wrap up the podcast, is there anything you would like to express? Any final words at all? Anything you want to get off your chest?
I just want to say if anyone's like trying to get into property, like you can always message me and I'll always try and help you out. You don't need that much money to start in property. There's so many different ways you can do it. You can do Airbnb, deal sourcing, anything like that to just get into property, or even just going to networking events, network with people, group up, get 5 friends, save up money. There's so many different ways. Don't be limited by the amount of money you have. There's endless opportunities to get into property, even if you've got like £10. You can always start from somewhere. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll share Kyan's socials down below as well. So if you want to reach out, you can do. But Kyan, bro, it's been a pleasure to see you again. I really appreciate you coming on and expressing the things you spoke about. I think you have, from what you've said, you've had quite a few hardships, and I think you inspire me to keep going in my life because you kept going in yours. And I think every day, bro, you should remember to be proud of yourself and keep patting yourself on the back, brother.
No, thank you, Daniel. I
Keep
really
doing your thing,
appreciate it,
man.
man. No,
Thanks for coming on,
no,
bro.
I swear
Thank
it,
you.
bro.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's been Kyan, making it moments. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much.